Tell us some things. About that bastard, Merrick Garland. Sleazy, jackbooted bastard. They're coming to get us, man. They're coming to fucking get us. Gonna put us all in jail, man, before it's all said and done. Says I'm working for the Russians. I ain't working for the Russians, man. I'm working for America. Right. Oh, yeah. 1 minute to the revolution, man. We got it going on here. Here we go, baby. That's right. You don't have to wait any longer for your daily infusion of the TruthSlinger, right? Good evening to you. My name is Tim. I am your TruthSlinger, and it is 8:06, 8:07, right? Yeah, we are in the Eastern time zone, and we are going to be talking to somebody all the way across the other side of the country. A big friend of mine that I've come to know over the last few weeks. We've had him on before. He's produced a really awesome documentary, and we aired it and watched it a couple of weeks ago. And he's got a new one coming up, right? I believe coming up Saturday there's going to be a premiere, and then we're going to also premiere that here on Sunday. We're going to go live with that probably either Sunday or Monday. We'll let you know when we get the schedule worked out, but we're going to see that. So I want to welcome my guest, my friend, great patriot, H.G. Goerner. Hugo, what's going on, buddy? It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Excellent to be here, man. And I'm glad that we're kind of launching this thing. You know, we were talking a little bit before the show started, and you've known me for what, like a few weeks now, and the sheer amount of change that we've gone through in just those few weeks has been phenomenal, right? And so it's a good thing. It is. We're drinking from a fire hose here, but because of that, I sort of came to realize that launching a network. Right, and we're trying to we're almost rebranding it again, right? We think we're going to go with TruthSlinger Broadcasting Network, TSBN.
Okay, there we go.
TSBN, and the reason is we're going to put a layer over the top of that because we don't want to be 100% news all the time. As much as I love the news cycle, I dig the news cycle. So TNN is going to fall into that larger programming umbrella. But that's awfully ambitious to launch a network, a new network, especially with like zero resources and just a few guys that don't know shit about what we're doing, And so I kind of figured, what we would do is we would just sort of start in with these people they're going to have their own shows, and start having them on, and we can just transition more and more toward your show. Hopefully next week we'll have some graphics and stuff like that. And it's like the way I kind of figure it, I don't want the best and the perfect to be the enemy of the good. And what we're doing right now, we can do tonight is absolutely good, right? We can talk about things and inform people about things and hopefully prepare ourselves for what's coming and maybe know how we can fight back. So what do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about your premiere coming up this weekend, or do you want to talk about Merrick Garland, that son of a bitch, and the announcement today?
Well, first, let me talk about my organization, EPAC.
Okay, yeah.
Ensure the preservation of America and our Constitution. After I wrote my book, this book right here, The United States Socialist, can everybody see it?
Yeah,
The United States Socialist Republic. And at the bottom it says, the liberal Marxist machine and the men, method, and means to fundamentally transform America. I wrote that a couple of years ago. And then I've produced 2 documentaries. But Ensure the Preservation of America and our Constitution is not a political action committee, nor is it a nonprofit. I funded all this myself. All the documentaries and everything, I funded all myself. I'm a builder here in California. I do a little bit of building and a lot of this and that and everything. However, I make a pretty good living. But my goal is to just freaking keep what we got. That's all I want to do. Hold this country in one piece, because the Marxist machine that I've studied for well over a decade, the Marxist political warfare and the Marxist machine, I was put on this path by a gentleman that you may be familiar with. His name is G. Edward Griffin. Have you ever heard of him?
I don't believe I have, no.
Mr. Griffin lives just down the road from me, and he started the Red Pill University. He wrote the book, the Monster from Jekyll Island. It's about the Federal Reserve and etc. But he actually interviewed back in the early '80s a gentleman named Yuri Bezmenov.
Yes, I know Yuri Bezmenov. I've seen that video from the '90s, pretty much about talking about how the entire Soviet plan and how they're going to take us out. And got that damn fly. Okay, sorry about that. It's drunk fly season here in Maine, and so they're like, and they're bumping into your face and arms and shit. It's really gross. So anyway, that's a fascinating interview, and I would definitely, if you can find it out there, it's still floating around out there on the internet. I highly suggest you go find it.
Exactly. He interviewed him. He talks about political warfare back in the early '30s. Just at the dawn of the union of the USSR, the KGB saw a way to bring down a nation, or it's called the art of political warfare. Having said that, it was in 1963, just prior to John F. Kennedy's death, shortly after the Bay of Pigs, he saw, because he basically slapped or bitch slapped the Khrushchev and the entire Soviet Union's military apparatus. He bitch slapped them all and sent them back across the Atlantic with missiles in tow.
Right.
He knew the ramifications. He was murdered because of it. Having said that, he knew that something needed to be done, and something needed to be done on a more intellectual but a less caustic way. Instead of a hot war, let's use political warfare. It was, like I said, it was designed by the KGB, but John Fitzgerald Kennedy, before his death, initiated an intense political warfare campaign on the Soviet Union. It takes time, but it deconstructed and destabilized the Soviet Union, and the United States was directly involved in the collapse of the Soviet Union in '92. It is our efforts and the help of Reagan, and we talk about that in our book, or in our documentary, Defining a Nation. So, having said that, political warfare now is being waged on the United States by just a handful of Marxists in our federal government, some congressmen, some senators, and a lot of bureaucrats, and thousands of organizations around this country that basically want to deconstruct this country using Marxist political warfare.
Oh, yeah, and it's real bad. I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's really, really, really bad here in Maine, okay? We've got the DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, and, I'm very kind of privy to what's going on over here. And then this thing is also fleshing itself out in this LGBTQ plus AI bullshit, right? And fortunately, I mean, they're the same Marxists. They're just, it's the same animal, but I just don't think they're as smart or as discreet, as the commies, as they say.
Well, if I may say, there are covert, but they're actually political warfare is overt.
Yeah, yeah,
It is
right.
out. It is right in your face. And one of the things I wanted to say before we go in too much further, the important thing, one of the main components of Soviet political warfare, or Marxist political warfare, as I call it, is censorship. We see this on a dramatic, especially with the Biden administration, putting up and designing and making a disinformation governance board and appointing a czar. Wait a second. And then you have right now, and what, in fact, a gentleman, Mr. Schellenberger, he's a journalist. He was talking about Digital Services Act, what's called the DSA, the Digital Services Act. That is coming to America. It's happening in EU right now. They're actually arresting people in their homes, going into their homes and saying, "Hey, you can't be saying that. You're promoting hate speech."
Oh yeah.
And I want folks, and you are one of the a handful of people, really, Tim, that understands this. This is so. Maybe I'm just the one, but I'm out of my freaking mind when I see this, because this is so destructive, so dangerous and destructive to a society and to progress. When you censor people, when you disconnect and stop people from, giving anything out there, it could be the most wildest idea. If you don't want to hear it, that all progress stops right then. It stuns me into, I literally pass out. I start thinking about it. It's unbelievable. They're arresting people for that.
Yeah,
shit.
I know.
But
I'm a free speech absolutist, because the problem is who decides what is the hate speech? Who decides, right? And ultimately it cuts the other direction too. If we would come into power, right, when we do that, we can't. I'm a free speech absolutist. I think you should be able to say anything you want. Now, be prepared to deal with the repercussions and the consequences of what you say.
correct.
But the solution to bad speech is more speech, right? That's all it is to it.
And also, there's actually two forms of, there's two aspects to free speech: what people say and what people hear. And by censoring what you hear,
Right.
literally the powers that be, these Marxists, will keep information hidden from you, knowing that if you had this information, you would be able to defend yourself in any given situation.
Yeah.
This is so extremely authoritarian. It's beyond description.
Well,
but more importantly, what I want to go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
What I wanted to say is about the DSA. Mr. Schellenberger really brought this out. He's a journalist, and we see this not so much because the Disinformation Governance Board was dissolved, but the important thing is with the weaponization. This is not our government that's doing this. This is a handful of Marxists within our federal government that are running the show. They're moving Biden around like a puppet, but more importantly, they have the mainstream Marxist media. Everybody knows this. But the thing I want to say is that when you can silence people to the point where it becomes so dangerous, and I could go on this, I could go in many different directions, but when you have a certain administration, the Biden administration, weaponizing the federal government, what happens is, and this is the most crucial part of political warfare, when people know, and in our documentary, I'm going to say this, I'm going off the page, in our documentary that we're going to show on your show Sunday or Monday of this week. It premieres Saturday at preservingamericaepac.com. You can watch it for less than a cup of coffee. But we talk about the public trust. And it's unbelievable. Obama himself, in a speech that he gave several months ago at Berkeley in San Francisco, he describes just how it works. I'll see if I can quote this. He says, all you need to do is fill the country's town square with enough raw sewage, enough bullshit and this, that, and anything, where the people, the public, get to the point where they no longer trust the system.
Yep.
They no longer trust their elected officials.
Right.
They don't know what's truth and what's not. He says, then it's over. You've won.
Yeah, because what happens is people check out, okay? Like, I mean, I constantly, ask people about that, or I'll go to the gas station, or I'll, go to Dunkin' Donuts, and sometimes I'll ask somebody, well, what do you think of that? And I can't tell you how many times people go, oh, shit, I don't pay attention to that shit. It just riles me up. They fucking, because they just tuned out. There's too much shit out there, right? And I think that has a lot to do with it, right? Because there's too much noise and not enough signal, and it begs the other question, like you talked about censoring people. Yeah, you can, if a tree falls down in the middle of the woods and nobody's heard it, did it really fall down, I guess is the question, right? I mean, you don't censor my speech, but you limit my reach, okay? And that has huge, huge repercussions. So this whole thing, and I mean, Alex Jones knew this a long time ago when he branded the phrase, InfoWars. But I think that right now we're in like literally a war, and the reason that we got a new network, which is going to be the TruthSlinger Broadcast Network, we're growing again, TSBN, which is going to be over the top of TNN, right? The reason we're doing that is because we are counter-programming, because that's what's been going on for years, right? Literally, our government has been, and like you said, a few handful, select bunch of bastards, right, who think they know better. And they've been, involved in Hollywood and all the stars. And I mean, I don't know if you heard, but Taylor Swift, they're going to be announcing they're breaking up with that chucklehead from the NFL, right? The whole thing was arranged to begin with. And now there's some press releases that were leaked. And it was supposed to be like highly top secret. So we can see that was a sham. Those two people were put together in order to influence the public, right?
Correct.
And so I'm very, very concerned, and I have an actual quote that can be attributed to me, right? Because I said, when people lose the ability to be able to speak, that they will express themselves in less desirable ways, right?
Yeah.
So
that is it.
Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah, and so
if I may expound on that, what you just said is what is occurring now. And this is one of the things, in fact, Biden springboarded on this. And in fact, recently, Garland went after people that's another story. But what I wanted to say is that when people get to the point they no longer trust their system and they don't trust their elected officials, that is so extremely dangerous to a society, to the point where what happens is the door's left wide open. And a new regime can be installed. This is a longer story, but when the people hear, a better story, you can trust us, Kamala Harris, and we're going to give you this and we're going to give you that.
Right.
That's where they're sway to.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I really this shook me to my core today. And I'm going to make this statement right now, and we'll probably shut this down in about 15 minutes so we can both move on. Attorney General of the United States, Garland, today basically said that Iran and Russia and China, they're put on notice. If you mess with our elections, we know you're going to be trying to mess with our elections. We're going to target you. But, and he went on and made specific a point to make this point. He made the effort. Anybody here in America that interferes with our elections, and like you talked about this arbitrarily, who decides? The people in power, the regulatory agencies, the Disinformation Governance Board decides what if you're interfering or you're questioning or you're pushing back. When that happens, that is autocracy. That is totalitarianism.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about it. That what Merrick Garland said today, and they gave examples of Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, some others I can't remember, right? And basically they're saying that they're carrying water for the Russians. So now all they have to do is just magically wave their magic wand, right? Or where is it? wave their magic wand, right? And they're going to say, it was Russian disinformation. And anybody that fucking agrees with that is in bed with the Russians, and that's treasonous. You're giving aid and comfort to the enemy.
They're going to target you. That's what I'm saying. People's lives. I posted on Rumble, and you can go to my thing on Rumble, and I posted it on X today. I replied. Basically, Garland has threatened the American people. He's basically, if you get stupid, you're going to be targeted. You're going to be declared. He put it right out there. We're going to determine if you. And here's the thing you wanted to springboard on. He said in a couple of instances, okay, some people went after elected officials and they shot at them, etc. Now, anybody in their right mind who wants to follow the law, you don't shoot at anybody for any reason. Okay, if you don't like the guy, just leave him alone. There's been instances where a candidate has lost his mind and gone after election officials. Okay, but he uses that as a springboard to say anybody, and all they have to do is change the language, manipulate the language, and they can literally say, you know what, hey, yeah, you're interfering with our elections.
Right.
You can become a target. This is moving so fast, and the goalposts keep moving back and back and back. It's stunning. This is basically Garland now officially has declared war on the American people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, when you're saying that anybody that agrees with something that we don't like, that we're going to just make it up. Now we're going to essentially, officially, you're an enemy of the state. But they've been going this direction for so long now. I mean, you know, the FBI's, you know, been. But
it's official now. Garland has declared war on the citizens, the Americans here in our country. He says, if you get stupid, we're going to target you. And here's the thing: they can say, "Oh yeah, you're interfering." Hey, I just was thinking that the elections might be a little messed up. Bam. Knock, knock, knock. Hey, we need to talk to you. If you think that's not the case, it's happening right now.
Yeah, of course I'm trying to influence a fucking election, you dolt. The fuck do you think I spent all my time doing? Okay? And all of us, right? Because we're out there spreading our opinion about what we think is best for this damn country. And then all of a sudden you're going to label that and say, that opinion is an enemy of the state. I mean, we are literally living in authoritarianism. I mean, it's here. And what you just said today is just the absolute proof that it is.
He says you become a threat to the national security of this country. So having said that, that's what we're looking at. And I'll leave you with this. In about on the 22nd of September, and we talk about this in our documentary that you're going to show Sunday or Monday. It actually premieres at preservingamericaepac.com this Saturday at 5 o'clock. We talk about that is going to be the Biden administration's time and I guess what you might say pivot point, where they're going to try to grab power on an immense level. At the Summit of the Future in New York City, the United Nations is going to officially declare a global climate change emergency. It is at that time that the Biden administration, who has already unofficially decided we're going to side with you, everybody's unofficially right now, we're going to fight this, we're going to turn our resources over to you, we're going to sign on the dotted line, and basically at that time, the President of the United States will federalize the United States of America. Does everybody in this room know what that means?
No, I think you should explain it for everyone.
According to the Emergency Powers Act, when we have a dire emergency or a natural disaster or a COVID, is the United States or the leaders can declare, oh, we have a problem here. We need, Donald Trump did this, but in good faith. He said, let's shut down the country using the Emergency Powers Act, or it's called the National Defense Resources Preparedness Act. Obama amplified the 1951 Emergency Powers Act, and he said, well, in the event of a natural disaster, the President of the United States can declare and literally shut down, force everyone. The power of that is astounding. He literally, and he did it in good faith. He says, let's shut down the country. Everybody don't move for a couple of weeks. That's reasonable. But the governors and Newsom and all these other idiots just took advantage of that.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing I want to say, though, federalization of the United States is where the president, under the auspices of the National Defense Resources Preparedness Act, can take ownership of this country. This is about ownership. There is a major global struggle for the balance of power on Earth right now. We're running out of certain resources. We talk about this in Legacy of a Nation, and there's resources, there's plenty of them, but in a short, relatively reasonable amount of time, we're going to be out of many main important resources, and the United Nations and the powers that be know this, and they're going to try to get control of them and then ration them out. How do you get control of anything? And I'm asking you, Tim, how do you get control of anything?
Well, I mean, first you would have to destabilize it and then cause it to collapse on itself. And like you said, there has to be some event that galvanizes people. And generally, and what they're going to do is they're going to say, we're going to protect you from this. And then that's what they're going to do, right?
Bingo. Basically, to federalize the United States of America, the federal government can take ownership of everything: production, the means of production, agriculture, the waterways, transportation. Everything's federalized. The banks are federalized, and the federal government owns what's in the banks. This is under the guise or the template.
That's essentially the last final move of communism, right? I mean, that's what it is, where the government takes control of the private resources.
Just like China. China is what's called state capitalism. It allows major corporations to make a shitload of money. But guess what? The CCP own the banks.
Yeah.
And when you own the banks, you have control of the money that's in it.
Yep.
That's how they leverage themselves.
Yeah, and not only that, right? One of the people out there, Rob Newsgrid, said that food, right? You control the food, man. That's it, right? And that's why they hate that's why they hate the damn Amish, and that's why they hate raw milk movements, and that's why they hate all these health food movements and all this shit, because they have been controlling the food supply, chemically speaking. But now, literally, they're going to be able to control the food supply physically. And hungry people can't fight. They don't really feel like it.
And most of it is about regulating and having government control over the means of production.
Yes.
That's basically socialism. But
Right.
if I may say, if the government can control it, then they can basically distribute it. The only way you can own something is if you can grow food. When you own it, you're allowed to distribute it. The government will say, okay, you have 50 acres? Yeah. You grow what? Well, we grow peaches. Okay. Well, you can grow them, but we'll take and we'll distribute those. We'll let you live on the land. You grow it, but this is a longer story. That's what I'm talking about: federalization of the United States.
Yeah, well,
so
that's actually modern day serfdom is really what it is.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, they're realizing this whole you don't own anything. We let you live on the land, and I guess you can eat off of it a little bit and sell your shit maybe. But yeah, I mean, that's crazy, Tunes. And we're here, and I can't believe we're talking about that we're here talking about this right now. I mean, my father would literally be rolling over in his damn grave because he escaped from, the whole, Hungary when the Russian Revolution happened in '56. So,
exactly.
This is not going to end well, man. I mean, so again, how in the world do we we get rid of these 70, 80, 90, 100 bastard commie sons of bitches that are doing this to us and essentially selling our sovereignty down the damn road.
Okay, this is a war of attrition. For well over 20 years, the Marxist machine in this country has been putting DAs, judges, elected officials in position to basically empower positions. The conservatives have been asleep, but more importantly, we can win this war, and I'll show you in Legacy of a Nation how we can do it. We're gonna have to push back. We have to have 12 to 16 years of conservative presidency, and it'll trickle down. And in Donald Trump's administration, which I believe at this particular point, I'm hoping that I will be a part of his transition team. I've already done all the paperwork. I've gone through the training, the whole bit.
Wow.
He's going to basically gut the bureaucracy within this federal and within our federal government. But more importantly, we need a couple of decades of real conservative leadership in this country. That's how we'll get the country pointed back in the right direction. Well, and in Legacy of a Nation, I show you how if there's a power grab, you have to be paying attention. You have to be up with this. You need to be engaged. And I'm going to say something real quick. And I don't want people to take this the wrong way. But if you're a citizen in this country, there's a certain amount of responsibility. One of those responsibilities is you should know that you need to vote. And number two is that there's going to be some responsibility as far as knowing what the hell's going on. If you're not paying attention and you don't act or get engaged when this shit happens, you can't bitch.
Yeah.
But more importantly, what I wanted to say is that in Legacy of a Nation, it's real simple. We will show you how you can push back legally, peacefully, and righteously on your elected officials and basically shut their office down.
Yeah.
And they won't be able to move, and the policies won't be implemented.
Yeah. Well, Cade Stringer, I don't have my glasses on. I think it's Stringer said we should start raising hell now. And so what I want to remind you to do is that's what we're trying to do over here, right? At TruthSlinger News Network, right? That's what we're trying to do is raise the alarm, right? And so make sure you be, hitting all the bells and subscribes and all that kind of stuff, right? Because you need to be doing that, supporting us any way you can. And if you can support us financially here, we're doing the raising hell over here. Help us raise more hell, right? So I'm really looking forward to seeing this thing. And we'll do this. Let's just do this Sunday. What time do you want to do this so we can let our viewers know?
5 o'clock Pacific time. Would that be all right?
Yeah, that'd be perfect. So it'll be basically like 8 o'clock. We started tonight. Yeah, we'll do that on Sunday night then, 8 o'clock.
Exactly. And one thing I want to leave folks with is that if you go to preservingamericaepac.com, you can see how the war is being waged and you can get engaged. But also we're going to have a podcast with Tim's help. I've done podcasts before, but now that I'm hooked up with Tim and TruthSlinger, I can't tell you, Tim, how much I appreciate your knowledge, your professionalism, and your support. You bring truth. That is the goal, bringing truth, as difficult as it might be. One of the things I want folks to understand is there's so much bullshit. That's what Tim is going to weed through. TBSN. Okay. Having said that, we will have a EPAC Perspectives at 5 o'clock, 3 days a week. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 5 o'clock, I will bring the truth because on my team, I have former DOD Pentagon intelligence, counterintelligence analyst who is my friend who endorsed my book. I have a former CIA operations manager that's my friend. These people are in D.C. They're part of my team. I have a judge who I talk to about twice a week. We all of us communicate with each other. We got the inside scoop, and we look at this on a reality base. And I want to leave you guys with this before I duck out. A lot of the stuff that you see, you have to weed through the bullshit and get down to the crux. Because the best way I can tell you is Aurora, Colorado. There was this big thing. The Hells Angels are going to Aurora, Colorado to tackle the gangsters. Even the Hells Angels, I was talking with my buddy, the judge. we were laughing our freaking asses off. The Hells Angels, whatever, they're smart. They're smart.
Yeah.
They have no intentions of going to Colorado to tackle a bunch of handful of friggin' gangsters. That's the furthest thing from the truth, and that's how people need to get witched. That is how the public trust gets eroded. Tim, I love you, buddy.
Yeah, man. Well, we really, really appreciate having you here, and we're going to be looking forward to that show 3 times a week because I think you bring a lot to the party here. I think you're very knowledgeable, and you're in the know, and you're in the in with some folks, and so you bring that kind of perspective that we can't get from anywhere else, right? So, fantastic stuff, and we just love to learn how to fight back because we all need to be doing it on a daily basis. And I love how you pour yourself out. You know, like I say, like a drink offering, man. I mean, this is it. We got to be taking our time, our resources, our money, our brains, our minds, and that's why we're doing what we're doing here. We're trying to get this news very organically, right? But
Yes.
and what happens is we have to make sure, and we put out a lot of caveats out there to say, look, we're discussing this. What do you think? What do you know? Are you in the area? What have you heard? You know, stuff like that. And, you know, sometimes it's very difficult to sort through some things, but there's so much of it, and we're also on the cutting edge. And I don't want to wait 3-4 days, like till for Fox News to cover it, you know. And so we just try to be careful and know what is speculation and talk about what is speculation. And sometimes we need to speculate, right? But we try to be very, very clear when we speculate or when we know things around here.
And we want people to chime in to our shows because, hey, if we can have a discussion, and guess what? And people are open-minded because I may bring some reality. They may be a hard pill to swallow because I'm my judge, my buddy. We are reality-based. But guess what? We want to give a place for people to speak. That's what the best part I love about you, Tim, is that you give people a chance, all kinds of people, to tell their story. And let's listen to them. One of the hardest things I had to learn as a young man was to be able to listen.
I'm still learning.
Yeah, exactly. And when you can, hey, if somebody wants to come in, if they got some input, and here's the thing, in about 2 days, in fact, probably in about, to be honest with you, I can't leave this out, but there's a gentleman that I'm going to be interviewing in just a couple of hours. We're going to release this probably Tuesday on our first show. He is a former police officer in San Francisco. And he's got the inside scoop on Gavin Newsom. We're going to drop this bomb on Tuesday.
Awesome. I can't wait. Boy, that'll be breaking news. Awesome. Yeah, well, you know, like I said, we just keep fighting. We keep swinging over here. And, you know, I don't know. We don't know what the hell we're doing. We're making this crap up as we go along. You know, some guy just DM'd me this whole thing about how large his genitalia are. I guess, I don't know. I mean, and I'm just like going, you know, we don't know anything, man. We're just organically trying to feel this thing out, right? And, you know, I'm not in the news business, but we got people that are coming to us that are saying, hey, I've been in the news business, I'd like to help. Or, you know, but what's most important is the passion that people are bringing to this thing. I got people that have never done a lick of research. They haven't gone to journalism school, and they're digging up like dirt, you know, on our opponents, you know, that we're highlighting some local Republicans. We found some dirt. Right, that the lady's husband is in the background doing things to assure that some legislation will go through that they financially benefited from, which benefits their family. We got some dirt, you know, and we just did that. We just did that because we just got some citizens, we got some patriots, we got some truth soldiers, man, that want to see the truth out there. That's where the
solutions come from, Tim.
Yep,
the people out there. They'll have the solutions. We may have some, but everybody's got some input. I guarantee you. That's why we love you.
Yep. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I'm going to talk to you soon. Stay in touch, Hugo. We'll see you on Sunday, man. But we'll talk
see you Sunday
then.
at 5 o'clock, guys. Love you. Please go to preservingamericaepac.com. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Yep.
Catch you on the flip side.
All right, man. Out. All right, that was really cool. So he's a really neat guy, man. He knows a lot. And I'm still, you know, learning, and I'm really looking forward to this documentary because I feel like it's going to give us that final piece, right? He's mentioned, you know, the way we can hold these people's feet to the fire. And I don't know, I mean, geez, 12 to 16 years of conservative leadership, that's going to be a hard thing to accomplish, right? Because realistically, we have an entire generation, maybe two, of people that have been brainwashed, right? So there's going to be some re-education going on there, and we're going to have to educate properly. We're going to have to. That's where it's going to start, with the education systems, right? So, typically people in this country like to swing back and forth, and then there's this whole idea of the controlled opposition, and pretty much either side is usually okay with the people that are in power, but not so much us, not so much Donald Trump and his Trumpers, right? That's MAGA people. They think we're deplorable and we smell bad, but that's because we're free thinkers and they know they can't control us. So again, I want to thank you for being here. It was a nice chat. I saw some new people here. I want to thank Rob Newsgrid for being a good guy, man. He's in there. He's definitely in there moderating, making sure we don't have any penises that come on the show and try and bomb our chat. We had one of those the other day. So yeah, we got help, man. We got moderators coming. We got researchers coming. We got roving reporters coming. I got a guy that's driving around the country in a semi-truck. And he's just going to go around and he's going to talk to people. And he's going to cover news events in whatever place he goes. So how cool is that going to be? And we're not going to let the perfect be the enemy of the good. We didn't have an intro for the show today. We just decided to go live. And we're going to be launching his show, the next one. And it'll be better than it was this time, right? We'll get some intro music going on for him and all that cool stuff. The graphics, all the icing on the cake, all the pretty stuff. But you know what? I think that people are tuning in because they're hungry for authenticity. They're hungry for good content that's true. And I tell you something else to let you know, we're brewing an idea, and I'm pretty sure we're going to do this. But we're thinking about taking this entire production and have you guys broadcast everything about our news network, all our staff meetings, all our brainstorming sessions, everything behind the scenes live, so that you guys can see how we operate in truth and how we try and do this, and see all these people that are pouring their hearts out into this project because they want to see truth prevail and they want to see our country live and see America once again have better days, right? We're going to make America great again, like literally. So yeah, I think that's a really kind of neat idea we're fleshing out, so you'll be able to tune in. Eventually that might go behind a paywall, where you can come in and see the inner workings of a news agency and a broadcasting network. So it's going to be TruthSlinger Broadcasting Network, TSBN, man. I'm just a Brandon fool these days. But we have to make the structure make sense, and so that it's inclusive enough so that we can get all sorts of neat programming in, because we are counter-programming here at the TruthSlinger Project. That is the whole thing. And you know what? If anybody says I'm an egomaniac because I call myself the TruthSlinger, they can kiss my ass. Because I'll tell you right now, I did not come in here to be the TruthSlinger. Okay, I came in to replicate myself. And if you've been watching me for any amount of time, you'll know that I came in this because I want to replicate myself, man. I want a bunch of truth slingers. I want truth soldiers, man. And that's why I turned my show outside and I started, interviewing people, just ordinary people, and why I want to produce people's podcasts for people. So if you want to do a podcast and you've been intimidated by the whole process, we got all that stuff down, right? And we can help you with that. We can put you on the air if you've got something to say and you've got a little bit of charisma and a brain on your head that works, and and you can entertain a little bit. Man, we'll put you on. We'll have you on first as a guest and try and do a little tapey poo, and then we'll go live. And then, hey, if things go well, you might be having your own show, man. And so, yeah, you definitely want to invest your emotions and effort and time with us here, because I think we're doing something neat. We're doing something different that I don't really think exists. And when you do stuff like that, right, you're great breaking ground, And I've done this in my life a lot of times where I don't necessarily read directions before I get into something, or I don't necessarily want to look at a Bible commentary before I write a sermon. I want to get into something and see what do I think about this. And so a lot of times I don't really want to know what other people do and how they do it. I'd rather come up with something on my own. And I might, bust my head against the wall a couple of times, or many times. But you know what? I might come up with something that's never, ever been done before and do it in a way that's unique and different. And if I had that preconceived notion of how everybody else does it and this is how it should be done, then maybe I'd be thwarted, because we're trying to do stuff on a shoestring budget over here. But I think we can do it, right? Just because of the time we're in and the mood people are in, and that people are just, they're just tired of taking it, and they want to see something change, and they feel like they can be part of that change. And so I'm just privileged to be a part of the process, to tell you the honest God truth. And I'm thrilled if this thing grows way bigger than me, right? So, yes, I have an ego, but I'm also I know how to be humble, right? And it's necessary, because the only reason this thing is successful is because of you, and I understand that, and the people that I interview, and that I decided to lift up those voices. That's why God is blessing me. That's the way I see it. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with that, because the gasoline is probably going to run out of the generator any minute, and I don't want to end abruptly, because that would be rude. It would be like streamus interruptus. That would probably be highly uncomfortable. We wouldn't want that to happen. So we do enjoy you very much. We hope you come back tomorrow. We're here from 8 to 10 every morning. Me and Mama, right? Hippie chick, my wife, Jennifer. And I am Tim, your TruthSlinger. We will see you tomorrow in the AMs. Good night, guys. Signing off. Moo.